The air is thick with salt and old incense. Below deck in the belly of a wooden merchant ship named the Mary, dear, the weight of an empire sits packed into chests, gold chalices studded with emeralds, silver candelabra taller than a man's waist, a 7-foot solid gold statue of the Virgin Mary, her robe said to be set with over 1,600 jewels, each one catching the faint lantern light. The year is 1820. The ship is anchored off the coast of Peru. The men who loaded this cargo believe they are saving it. They believe they are the trusted guardians of the Spanish Empire's most sacred wealth. They are wrong. Every single man who carried those chests onto this ship is about to die, and the greatest treasure hoard ever to leave South America is about to vanish. Peru, 1820. The Spanish Empire is coming apart. Across South America, colonies are rising up. Simón Bolívar is sweeping through the north. From the south, an Argentine general named José de San Martín is marching toward Lima. He has already liberated Argentina and Chile. Now his army is closing in on the Spanish viceroyalty's last stronghold. The city is in chaos. The viceroy knows he cannot hold Lima, but he believes he can protect one thing: the wealth. For centuries, the Catholic Church and the Spanish crown had poured gold into the city. Cathedrals glittered with jeweled altarpieces. Monastery vaults held reliquaries packed with diamonds and rubies. The viceroy gave the order: gather everything, every gem, every coin, every sacred artifact that could be moved and carried. A document in a museum in Caracas, Venezuela, records the inventory. One chest of altar trimmings set with over 1,200 gemstones. Chests of gold and silver relic containers holding hundreds of rubies, diamonds, topazes, and carnelians. Cedar caskets crammed with thousands of cut and uncut stones. 4,000 gold doubloons. Over 100 swords and 60 daggers. And the centerpiece, a life-size solid gold statue of the Virgin Mary, holding the infant Jesus said to be adorned with 1,684 jewels. The entire hoard is estimated today at up to $200 million. The viceroy needed a ship. He chose the Mary Dear. He chose an English captain named William Thompson, someone with no loyalty to the Spanish, no ties to the revolutionaries. He paid Thompson generously. He assigned a military guard and a company of priests to escort the cargo to Mexico. The plan was simple: deliver the treasure to safety. The plan was a catastrophic mistake. The Mary Dear pulled away from the Peruvian coast and into open water. Below deck, the priests murmured their prayers. The guards stood their posts, and Captain William Thompson gathered his crew. He asked them something to the effect of, "We can work for the rest of our lives and never earn the kind of wealth sitting in one of those boxes. The men who hired us stole this gold. Let us take it from them." The crew agreed. That night, Thompson's men killed the guards and the priests on board. Not one was spared. Their bodies went over the side into the dark Pacific. The Mary Dear was no longer a transport vessel. It was a pirate ship. Thompson set a new course, not north to Mexico, west, to a jagged green speck hundreds of kilometers off the coast of present-day Costa Rica, an island called Cocos. He knew the place by reputation. For decades, pirates had used it as a hideout. Its waters churn with hammerhead sharks and rip currents. Its interior is dense volcanic rainforest crisscrossed by waterfalls and nearly impassable ridges. A perfect place to make something disappear. The ship anchored. The crew hauled the chest ashore through the surf. And somewhere on that island beneath the dripping canopy and the cries of seabirds, they buried the treasure of Lima. They never divided it. The plan was to split up scatter across ports, and continents lay low until the Spanish stopped hunting them. Then they would reconvene and split the fortune. It never happened. The Spanish caught up with the merry deer. The entire crew was captured and put on trial for piracy. Every man was hanged. Every man except two, Captain William Thompson and his first mate, a Scotsman named James Alexander Forbes. The Spanish spared them for one reason only. They were the only two people alive who knew where the treasure was buried. Thompson and Forbes agreed to lead a Spanish expedition back to Cocos Island. They sailed there. They stepped onto the shore, and then they slipped into the jungle and disappeared. When they finally emerged, the Spanish party had given up and left. Thompson eventually made his way onto a whaling ship bound for Newfoundland, then vanished into the North Atlantic. He never saw Cocos Island again. Forbes took a very different path. He settled in California, became a trader and farmer, was eventually appointed British vice consul to Mexican California, then the first British consul to the new state of California. He built a flour mill outside San Jose, and that land would eventually become the town of Los Gatos. A man who had once been part of a pirate crew. Forbes never returned to Cocos Island, but he never forgot. According to the legend, he wrote down what he knew, the location, the landmarks, the contents of every chest. He passed those notes to his son, Charles. Charles passed them to his son. The Forbes family would hunt the treasure for generations. Every expedition failed. The first break came in the 1840s. By then, William Thompson was an old man living in Newfoundland. He had befriended a fellow seaman named John Keating, and according to the story, gave him a map. Keating sailed to Cocos Island. He returned with gold coins and loose jewels, not the full hoard, just fragments, but enough to keep the legend alive. Keating reportedly confessed on his deathbed that the treasure was still buried there. 12 chests, 500,000 gold coins, 11,000 silver ingots, and the golden statue untouched. Then came the obsessed August Gissler, a German adventurer who arrived on Cocos Island in 1889 and stayed for nearly 2 decades. Gissler was not guessing. He possessed 2 separate maps from independent sources, and both pointed to the same location on the island. He dug. For 2 decades, he dug. A sprawling network of tunnels carved into volcanic rock tunnels you can still crawl through today, if you know where to look. The Costa Rican government named him the island's first and only governor, and let him establish a small German colony. The colonists tried to grow tobacco. The crops failed. The settler families drifted away, one by one, until only Gissler and his wife remained. And after nearly 20 years of digging, August Gissler found exactly 6 gold coins. 6? He abandoned the island in 1908, sailed for New York, and died there in 1935. The 20th century kept the obsession alive. The gangster Bugsy Siegel tried. The Hollywood actor Errol Flynn tried. Franklin Roosevelt visited the island as a younger man and reportedly remained fascinated by it. More than 300 separate treasure hunts have landed on Cocos Island. Not one has found the treasure of Lima. In 2012, a British engineer named Sean Whitehead made the most technologically sophisticated attempt in history. Whitehead had helped design components for Mars landers. He brought ground-penetrating radar, 3-dimensional laser mapping, aerial imaging from helicopters. The Costa Rican government granted him a rare 10-day permit. He found nothing. Today, Cocos Island is a protected national park, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site designated in 1997. Treasure hunting had already been banned in 1994. Digging, excavation, removal of any kind, all completely prohibited. Whatever William Thompson buried in 1820 is still there, or it never was. History hides what it cannot protect. The Spanish Empire could not hold Lima, so it tried to smuggle its soul away in the damp hull of a wooden ship. That ship became a coffin for the men who guarded it. The captain who stole its cargo was hunted and haunted for the rest of his life. The island that swallowed it has been silent now for 2 centuries. Every expedition that has ever set foot on Cocos Island arrived believing they were looking for gold, but gold is just metal pressed into coins. What they were really hunting was something stranger and harder to name. Proof that a legend is not merely a story, that history's empty spaces are not truly empty, that the difference between a lost hoard and a discovered fortune is always one person who paid the right kind of attention at the right moment. So far across 200 years and more than 300 expeditions, no one has been that person. The treasure of Lima is still missing, still estimated at up to $200 million. Still waiting, if it is waiting at all under the rainforest canopy of an island most people will never see. What do you think is actually buried on Cocos Island? 2 centuries of legend, or nothing at all? Subscribe to Lost Fathoms. Real stories, real history, real treasure. 2 centuries, 1 island. A fortune that swallowed every man who tried to claim it. See you in the next one.